event. So, as you can see, my home lab NAS quest went to the end. I almost optimized everything what I was thinking to do. Still have some thoughts, still changing something, but a lot of things changed here. A lot of things changed on the desk. A lot of things changed inside the computer, I mean software stuff. Yeah, and today I thought that I spent months by optimizing the system, and I thought that a lot of lessons learned. I even have a list. I was just sat down, spent a few hours and write down the most important things which everyone should consider if this person wants to have a pretty cheap but with all the possible benefits home lab NAS. In my scenario I have trueNAS system. Alright, so that's the intro, and we could go, as I mentioned, through 10 mistakes which every person who acquires or builds or somehow in between of that, like a little bit builds, something builds, some things acquire, like have a mix at home. All of us who start from zero do these mistakes and go these ways. So today I want to share my experience with you. So this is the list, and let's go through it. So the first thing I noticed to me, this is, I think, the most important question, number one question: do you need all of this? And actually this is a real good question, because if you go to the internet, if you watch tons of YouTube videos on people who do home lab and network attached storage, who mining on hardware drives, hard disk drives, it looks like everyone in the conquest for building the most expensive, the biggest, the most power hungry, the most powerful system, runs all the possible software on it, has tons of cables at home, and in the end it looks like that. I hope that at least at most 1% of that is used actually every day. So one of my things on what I was thinking for months, so what actually I would get from that system, what's the benefits for me, for my home. And if you boil it down, there are two important things. So one thing what I want to mention, that at home you always have some volatile data. So that could be, for example, movie filmed with a drone. So on this system you could have a shared drive, put that volatile data, share it through the shared folder or through the Plex to all the devices around the home, to the TVs, mobile phones, laptops, and everyone could use that volatile data. For that, actually, you even don't need that system. You just can share a drive and everyone could use it. But it's more convenient to do it here, but it's not very useful. So this is the case for that a lot of people buy and construct a NAS. But in fact, you don't need it. If you have some computer or even a router in which you can put a USB stick, put some files on it, you can share it over a network and use it. And that's one of real use cases. I'm talking now about the real use cases, not the fake ones that you can have data center and access it through the internet over the VPN from everywhere. Yeah, so because you could get hacked. NAS running 24/7 when you're away from home can cause a fire. So it's really dangerous to do that. So I consider that as not a real use case. It just this is how like companies who sell NAS devices advertise that and attract new clients, but that's not a real case. And even sharing in media, it's not a real case and not a real usefulness of that system. And now we're getting to a point where is the real use. And from my understanding, the real use, when you have here at least 2 drives, yeah, you can have 4 here, but let's say you can have 2, and they are mirrored, and you get some kind of files on which you should work. And the rule is that you absolutely can't lose them on power failure, hardware failure, disk failure, any other failure possible, even errors on the random access memory. So you put these files here. They are really safe while you work on them. You do a production video, production file. You delete the source files. You use somehow that production file, upload it somewhere or present it, and in the end you archive it on the backup disk. NAS is not a backup. That's definitely not a backup. Just this is the very safe working place. So this is the second use case, and actually for that use case I have the system, and I think every home should have a place, very safe and secure place, where you can put files and securely work with them while you need them. After that you put them on the backup. So this is the first and most important question: do you really need NAS? So answer is maybe yes. In most cases you need it, but there could be cases where you don't. If you don't work with files at home and just want to have an archive, so just buy a good external drives, archive the files, and put them somewhere, one at your home, another at your parents' home, or maybe one of the drives in the closet at your work, somewhere in the remote location, and you're good, you're safe. Yeah, so that was the first question. The answer is maybe yes. And the second question with which you will face, okay, you understand, okay, I need NAS for these reasons, and they're pretty obvious, so how I could get it? So there are 3 ways. One way, you could buy a turnkey solution, so that's already a system, you just put it, install the system, do a small configuration, connect it to the LAN, connect it to the power, save the files on it, and it's working. Alright, that's one option. Another option is to build it from the scratch, and the third option is in the middle of that. I use that to buy an enterprise grade server, maybe the cheapest one, as I've done, and modify it, upgrade it to the level where it suits your needs. So let's go through all these steps. So if you want to build your own NAS, there are few caveats you will face. I think it will be if you create a really good system from good hardware parts, it will be the most expensive solution and it will take the highest effort, and the result not always be the best. And I will explain you and understand later on when I will talk about other questions, other problems which everyone faces when building your home lab system. So I started from that and I cancelled that project almost at the end. I cancelled and returned all the hardware. The reason, if you buy a turnkey system, it also will be very expensive because, when you buy a basic one, it will be cheap, but upgrades will be very expensive, and in the end, it will be close to the system you are building yourself, custom system. But it will be less powerful. So that's also not the option, and I skipped that. And I was surprised that the third option, to buy small enterprise grade server and upgrade it, customize, put a software, is actually the cheapest and the most comfortable and most future-proof solution, because these companies like HP, they build this hardware and they have like a scale mass economy of that, so they can create millions of these devices and they can bring price really down and put really the best components. So while it's the lowest and the lowest grade and the smallest HP ProLiant server, it has all the benefits of the big one. It's just a smaller version. I was surprised. I made my calculations and I found that this is the best version. Why it's the best version? I think I would talk about it also in other questions, but let's say you will have a good processor inside, you will have a really good custom motherboard with amazing BIOS, you will have easily upgradable and for a long time of period maintainable firmware and BIOS. You will have already included in the system monitoring over the Ethernet, so you can have like a external monitor, keyboard and mouse connected to this device, but from any place in your room over the Ethernet. So that's amazing. For configuration, the case will be really adapted for the good airflow, so there will be no mess with the cables inside, there will be no problems or with the heat or the noise or how to situate everything. Everything is thin here. It's calculated, it's tested, it's working, it's proved. It could easily work 24/7 and it's quiet. It's working now and it's completely quiet. So that was my solution and it proved really well. In the end, after all the upgrades I done, of course, I think in all these three solutions the price is really close, but by the quality I am getting from a system, this is the best one. So my suggestion for you is when you are building your NAS system, buy used or new enterprise grade server, learn how to work with it, upgrade it to the usable level and use it. You will be more than happy. Okay, so that's an answer to the second question. Let's move on further. So, the third mistake, which I myself and everyone does, if you look on the internet, on the YouTubers channels, so people are trying to install on your NAS system every possible software. So they are using virtual machines here. We're doing hardware transcoding for the media, we're putting firewalls here, remote monitoring stuff, a lot of things which you could put as a Docker container, because on a trueNAS system you could run a Docker container, you could run a virtual machine, a lot of virtual machines here. What I discovered myself, actually, you don't need that at your home. to be happy with the system, to get everyday use, you don't need that. There are only a few things actually which you need. So it's a shared folder via S.M.A.R.T protocol, because you can reach that folder through a phone, through a laptop, through almost every hardware around you. So this is the first benefit. The second two benefits which you get from that system, yes, it's a good reason to have a Plex server for your home media, because, for example, if friends come to your house, you can show them the video you filmed with a drone, or you can show photos on a nice big TV screen, and it will be very flexible and fluent. So this is a good idea. Other thing, the other Docker container which you could run, this is advertisement blocker Pi-hole. It's also a very good idea. I use it every day and can't imagine my internet browsing without that. So you share the drive, you share the media and stream the media from this device, and you block advertisements. That's really amazing benefits you are getting from the device every day, and it pays off every day. So I already mentioned that I didn't find any use of virtual machines because the things works like this. At first you try to install a native application. If you can't, you try to use Docker. It's a little bit more comfortable to start, stop it, to uninstall it. And the third and the slowest solution to run another operating system on the virtual machine and then run that software on that machine. So that could be an option if I could want here to run pfSense firewall, for example, but in the end I don't need it. My internet provider firewall is pretty good, and Pi-hole is doing a lot of nice things, and I have Unbound DNS server which works for me, so it's pretty good. I don't need virtual machines here at all. And besides that, there are technical services which you will need on this device. So they are for data security mostly. So on that list, I'm running regular data scrub. So trueNAS has ZFS file system, and scrub detects the errors on the file system and automatically corrects them. So that's the first thing. Then I'm automatically regularly trim SSD disks on this system, so for them not to lose the performance. Then I'm doing backups from this system to this hard drive regularly also, and of course I'm running S.M.A.R.T tests here automatically, and I'm doing data snapshots to have a rollback. I'm doing regular daily data snapshots on the drives here. So this is it. You run and put all of these services here, and you have amazing automated system with the services you will use every day. Okay, these are 3 mistakes the starters doing. Let's go further. The fourth one. So people think that they need a powerful CPU for the NAS. No, you don't. Only in rare cases you need that, but mostly you don't need that. You can find a system with a least powerful CPU and it will run perfectly. The only one thing which is important by choosing a CPU, that CPU should support together with a motherboard the read access memory with error correction ECC RAM. So this is very important for the NAS system because you can corrupt your data and system won't notice that. So this is the one requirement for the CPU to support ECC RAM. Alright, so another thing, if you buy, let's say, a turnkey NAS, you will get a very small amount of RAM. So, and it looks like you don't need that. That's not true. You need as much RAM as possible because trueNAS and other systems which run on the NAS devices, behind them there is a Linux operating system. And ZFS file system or other file systems will work like this, that they load the files you use to the RAM, and through the network, when you connect to the Samba folders on these drives, you actually work with the RAM disk. And then you get the highest possible speed if you have a speedy network connection. So as much RAM you put into the system, it will be used. So when you're buying a system, do a research how much RAM CPU and motherboard can support. Actually, I saw a lot of situations when officially it is stated that the system supports lower amount of memory, but you can put like 2-3 times more and it works. So it depends. So this is very important. Put a lot of RAM in the system. I have 64 gigabytes here and actually use all of them daily. So it's not a huge amount. It's enough for me, definitely, but it's not a huge amount. Yeah, so another thing which I understood in the process and went through is 10 gigabit networking. So to connect this NAS system to my Mac Studio for video editing via 10 gigabit Ethernet. I done that. I have amazing official HP 10 gigabit card and switches here with 2 10 gigabits port, and I connected to my NAS with the Mac Studio, but there are few drawbacks. This card heats a lot. Then fan of the NAS ramps up, so it's noisy. The system is hot, it consumes much more electricity, and in the end, on my needs, I don't need it. I don't need these kind of speeds for video editing. And I was thinking what to do, how to bring the heat and the noise down and still have a little bit more speed, because this server came with 4 ports of 1 gigabit card, 1 gigabit card with 4 ports. So at first I was using the Samba protocol option to use all 4 ports, and then the speed is higher, so it's like it comes like to 3 gigabits. But in the end, you have a lot of cabling. And recently, just a few months ago, Intel company issued a new version of 2.5 gigabits network card. It even don't have a heater data on it, so it's completely cold, it's fast, it supports all the things the modern network card support. So I put it here. Now I have my NAS connection with a switch and with all the home network on the 2.5 gigabit speed, and it's more than enough. I can share media, I can watch it, I can do editing from every room in my home in a silent, quiet environment. Even here, I don't hear it, it's completely silent. The fans run on the lowest possible setting here, on 10%. They almost not noticeable. So I suggest you to do that, to upgrade all your home Ethernet network to 2.5 gigabits and just be happy with that. I think the speed will be enough for at least 2, 3, even 5 years ahead, and you enjoy the peacefulness and quietness of that environment. So you don't need 10 gigabit speed. It's just for experimentation, but for home, I don't think that you need that. So that's another thing I noticed. And we have 4 things left. So the 7th topic I wanted to tell. So yeah, if you watch YouTube videos, you could think that you need tons of hard disks to do a crazy big write system with, I don't know, thousands of terabytes on it, and then it will eat your electricity and just stay idle. So I noticed in the beginning that I use daily this system, and I think most of the homes do use this kind of systems for volatile data sharing. So for that you need small one disk, you put your media files, you watch them and delete them and put a new ones, and you don't need backup for that. So that's pretty easy. So yeah, so you have a boot disk here and you have another disk for volatile media. So here are 4 slots, 2 of them are used. And for another case, for temporary working with important files before we go to the stable backup media, NAS is not a backup, you use another 2 small disks in a mirrored setup. So what you put on one disk is automatically mirrored onto another disk. ZFS file system checks and corrects an errors. You safely work with these 2 small disks. You create a production file, present it, use it, put it to archives and delete it from here. So in the end, for everyday, very comfortable usage, you don't need tons of money. Actually, you need 4 small disks that could be hard drives, but I decided to use in the end SATA SSD drives. They're cheap, they're fast, and they're silent, they're cold, and they're safe, and this is a perfect solution for me, and I think it's really good solution for most of the homes. Yeah, I already told that a few times, but this is not a backup. This is very important thing. You work with files safely on that system, but you backup them to the media, which is maybe on your desk, maybe in another copy in another room, and another copy maybe in your parents' house or in any other location you have. And if you do it like this, even it's suggested to have a copy on a cloud. Yeah, when companies sell network attached systems, they say you won't need a cloud. No, you actually need it. It's one of the sources, good sources for backups, because they have all the same backupping strategy I'm telling you now. So this information is spread everywhere and files are safe there. So you have 2 copies here on the mirror drive, then you backup it to another drive here, you put it in a few offline drives somewhere. I'm talking about the really important files, and maybe you have a copy in a cloud, and you are really safe with that setup. So NAS is not a backup. And 2 last mistakes I want to mention. So yeah, so people are tempted because when you buy a small server or even a bigger one, you won't use all the drive bays for your data, because it's expensive resource, and you definitely don't want to use. And what's the benefit for using SATA connections to your drives, that all the NAS systems could monitor the health of your drive and do the maintenance automatically. So this is why it's very important to have NATA, SATA connections or SAS connections to your drives. And a lot of people were tempted, and I was doing that myself in the beginning, to have an external USB drive as a boot drive. Don't do that. Use one of the internal ports, because it's tons of messages in the forums that these drives chips are low quality. They are not prepared for these kind of loads, and they burn down pretty quickly. So yeah, it's maybe not a problem if you save, for example, you can export trueNAS configuration. Installing takes 5 minutes, so you put another drive, install the empty system, upload the configuration, and you are running. Disks are not related in any way with the operating system, so they are safe. But you will never know when your USB drive will burn down. So just put the smallest, cheapest, slowest SATA drive, SSD drive inside. Use one of the base and have peace of mind. It just works perfectly. So don't use USB drives. I had the problems, you will have them definitely. And yeah, the last thing which I noticed in the forums, I tried myself and it didn't work, it's jumbo frames. So you can configure your network card on the NAS and on the devices around the home to send and receive not the usual data packets, but data packets which are 6 times bigger than usual, and they are called jumbo frames. That's amazing. Of course, I tried that between my NAS and my Mac Studio. So between these two devices, so the thing is that all devices on the network should support that. So in that setup, NAS supports that, QNAP switch supports that, and Mac Studio supports that, and I get at least few hundred megabytes per second faster speeds by using jumbo frames, because the overhead on the packet, so you have less overhead traveling over the Ethernet, because you're using 6 times bigger packets, so like 6 times less overhead over every packet of data which travels over the Ethernet. But the thing here is that all the devices on the Ethernet, on the local network, should support that. And for example, my Apple TV or my USB Ethernet card on another room at my laptop, it doesn't support jumbo frames. And then situation becomes pretty interesting. You could have high download speeds but low upload speeds. You could have constant disconnections in your network cards. Your switches could reboot or stuck. And yeah, when people face with a lot of problems on their home network, and they say network card is bad, switch is bad, I will return it, something bad with the computer, bad cabling, but maybe it's just a wrong MTU setting on your Ethernet card. So in my home, I switched back to the standard packets because I can't change the setting on all my devices, and I noticed all the symptoms I told you, so disconnections, network card rebooting, different speeds when data is going out or going in, and I just don't like it. And even by watching video files, I noticed that the sound was disappearing because Yeah, because when the device which does not support big packets, the things this device tries to do is to even cut these packets to the smaller ones or reject them, and that's an overload for the processor of that device, and usually streaming receivers are weak devices and they are crashing and they are not working as supposed. So my suggestion, reset your network, and if you can't change the MTU value on all the devices, use the standard. You don't lose a lot of speed, but everything will work perfectly. Yeah, so this is it. This is the list. I went through it. This is the 10 lessons I've learned. So go my way. Don't do the same mistakes. Create amazing system at your home. Use it every day. Reap the benefits. Be happy and enjoy your life. Thank you everyone for spending your time with me. And see you later. Goodbye.